Coming to you from the mountains and the plain. The only conservative voices brave enough to push back. This is the Conservative Daily Podcast with Joe Otto.
That's what the Second Amendment was designed to do. If you're going to do something to nullify or take away my rights under the Constitution, come get it.
Max McGuire.
When you look at politicians on the left, they need to convince people that they are victims.
A resistance to the resistance. And now your hosts, Joe Otto and Max McGuire.
And welcome back to another edition of the Conservative Daily Podcast. My name is Max McGuire. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, so we are running a tiny bit late. We also have a stream going on our channel for the House Rules Committee hearing, so that kind of messed things up. But we are live. We are on the air now. Another edition of the podcast. My name is Max McGuire. Joe Otto has the day off again today. If we're being honest, he's still recovering from the night of drinking we did in night 3 of the DNC. He needs just a little bit more recovery time before he gets back on the horse. But today we're going to talk about what just happened over the last 4 days, because we had 4 nights of Democrat convention, 4 nights of a lot of tugging on heartstrings, 4 nights very short on policy proposals and real facts and real hard evidence of what they were planning to do. Just a lot of appealing to people's emotions. So we fact-checked the DNC for the last 4 nights. And we had a fact-check counter on our live streams. If you watched that night, you know what we were doing. We also played a drinking game. That was rough. We counted, by the end of the 4 nights, we counted 1,716 total lies, falsehoods, half-truths that the DNC and their speakers told. We weren't able to get all of them. We missed some of them. And because we were focusing on the stream, we did miss some of the things going on in the periphery as well. So we're going to be covering that. But before we get into it, I want to mention that today's podcast is brought to you again by ACE Scholarships. ACE Scholarships is a pro-school choice organization that provides children of low-income housing with scholarships so they can get out of failing public schools and get into good private and charter schools to advance their education in grades K through 12. ACE Scholarships was founded in 2000, and since then, they've given away over 42,000 scholarships in 8 states. So if you want to help ACE Scholarships with their school choice mission, we only take on sponsors that we think are doing a good job. If you want to support them, help inner city and low-income kids get into private and charter schools, make sure you check out the link in our description. They're having their annual luncheon. It's online this year because of COVID. So check out that link if you want to help with their mission. Okay, right into it. First of all, comment in the comment section if you were on our live streams the last couple nights. They were fun. A lot of people said that we made the DNC bearable. That was a compliment to me. I took that as a very excellent compliment. The idea that I could make people like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden palatable. I completely appreciate that. That's the best compliment I've gotten in years. But comment if you were on the stream, because as we're covering the stream, there were things going on that we didn't get to talk about. And that anytime you were watching that, we really do have tunnel vision. And yeah, I probably could have done a little bit better, but it's hard to be checking social media while we're fact checking a 2-hour debate. 2-hour convention. And as we mentioned, the 4 nights, 8 total hours, they had over 1,700 lies. So there was something that happened yesterday that was really, really egregious, and I want to cover it. A 7-year-old, let me know if you've seen this already in the comment section. A 7-year-old had his Trump hat stolen by Biden supporting a-holes. I'll say that. I don't know who they are. These 2 young women thought so highly of Biden and everything going on that they decided to steal a 7-year-old's MAGA hat, a Make America Great Again hat. That was blowing up last night. We weren't able to cover it. I didn't even see that until the stream was over. So I want to play that clip because it really is truly egregious. Let's play cut 2.
Can you get off my property? Get off my property? Are you destroying my property?
Yes, we are.
You know that's a felony?
That one too. You don't get that one.
Get away from
Back the out. Get it, Liam. Get it.
Touch my hat.
Take your hat.
somebody else's hat.
Take that hat.
Get your hat back, baby. Look at what you just did to my son. Get your hat back, baby. Get your hat back, baby.
I just wanted to sit on the
We don't give
floor.
a mom likes Trump.
Give me back my hat. 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 Give me back my hat.
I'm telling you right now.
You're gonna steal my property? I'll follow you to your car and get your license plate.
And I'm walking. I live in
Call
town.
911.
You want me to call 911?
How your baby sounds.
You want me to call 911? Taylor! Taylor! These people right here are taking your hat. They attacked my son. I have it on video. I have it on video.
Touch your kid. Back up.
I have it on video. I have it on video. I have it on
I'm
video.
telling you to back the
Yeah, you want to try me? You want to try me? You want to try me? I got the whole thing on video. I got the whole thing on video. Don't attack. Oh, you gonna punch him? You gonna punch him? Oh yeah, you gonna punch? Oh, you wanna sucker punch me? You wanna sucker punch me? Take my hat. Take my hat, baby. You wanna sucker punch me? Yeah, I saw you punch me. I saw you trying to punch me.
I wish you would. They will beat this shit out you. Take you with your Go ahead. I wish you would. We will knock you out. We will knock you.
That's why when you went to hit me, you did it, right? That's why when you went to
They
hit me.
missed a bleep on that one.
I'm not trying to hit you. I'm not trying to fight you. You're coming after me. I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of you. She came after my son. I have it on video. She came after my son. Yeah? You think I'm afraid of you? You think I'm afraid of you?
Unbelievable. So that's what we missed last night. That happened last night. And we missed that because we were so tunnel vision focused on the lies that the Democrats were spewing. That's egregious. Does anyone support what that was? I mean, can anyone possibly support looks like teenagers or 20-somethings stealing a 7-year-old's Trump hat? I mean, so let's unpack this for a second. They truly believe that their cause is so just, that Donald Trump is so evil, that they're justified in doing what you just saw. Not just stealing property, but destroying property, because they also ripped up the kids' Trump signs. And this apparently, anyone can correct me if I'm wrong, this apparently was in Delaware. I think this was right near where Biden was speaking last night. This is unbelievable. This is what we're up against, folks. I mean, I have a Trump flag outside my house right now, proudly flying. I'm in Texas, so I'm not really worried. But I have 2 Trump yard signs on the way. There are people out there just like this who truly believe that Trump is so evil they can destroy your property, they can steal from you, they can attack you, they can punch you. It's, yeah, no, Melissa, everyone's saying it is unbelievable. And this is just, it makes sense, right? When Trump was first inaugurated, the narrative coming out of the left was that it's okay to punch a fascist. Anyone remember Yvette Filarka? She was a teacher. She was actually a teacher in California. She ran an organization called By Any Means Necessary, BAM. And she was arrested for attacking Trump supporters. And the defense that she actually put forward in court was that it wasn't an assault because it's okay to punch a fascist. What we've seen since then is a transformation into anyone who disagrees with Democrat orthodoxy is a fascist, even to the point of stealing from a 7-year-old kid. And you can hear him like, that's not your hat, that's not your hat. Feel so bad for him. I mean, this is what we're dealing with here, folks. Biden all last night is talking about the soul of our nation. This is what we get if Biden wins. Because make no mistake, the only thing holding these people back from far worse is the fact that we have Donald Trump in office and he's willing to crack down on the craziness. You see what's going on in Portland, Chicago, Seattle, New York. It's only going to get worse if they get a president in office who's willing to turn a blind eye to their savagery. So I wanted to play that clip, but I also want to remind everyone, you need to hit the share button. You need to comment, you need to like. That's how we convince Facebook that this live stream is popular and worthwhile and worthy of being put in other people's news feeds. So when you hit the share button, when you hit the like button, and when you leave comments, that's what helps get us in front of more people. And last night we had, for the 3rd straight night, we had more comments on our fact-checking live stream than the Democrats had on their official Facebook live stream. And just to put in perspective, we have 58,000 followers on our page right now. The Democrats on their Facebook page had 1.6 million. And we had more people commenting on our post. That's why we were able to get so much reach last night. So please, please, please hit the share button, comment, and hit the like buttons. Okay, we're going to talk about some of the doozies from the last couple nights. Some of these I talked about on the live streams. If you weren't on those nightly live streams, sorry for reiterating, but these are important to mention. Let's go ahead and put up image number 6. This is Elizabeth Warren being one of the featured speakers at the Democrat Native American caucus meeting. Mr. Producer, do we have that image? There we go. Elizabeth Warren giving a speaking slot at the Native American caucus meeting. So what we watched, what we fact-checked, was the nightly stuff, the made-for-TV primetime convention. But during the day, all of the crazies come out of the woodwork, and they have these Zoom meetings where they talk about their crazy policy agendas. Part of the reason that they didn't actually talk about real agendas at night is because if they told you what they actually wanted, what they were talking about in the daytime, you would run for the hills. Elizabeth Warren was one of the featured speakers in the Native American caucus meeting. I am literally more Native American than Elizabeth Warren. I am. My mom, on her side of the family, she can trace back our lineage to the Lenape tribe in the Delaware River Valley, the Delaware River area, the area in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. We can trace back our lineage. Elizabeth Warren took a test, and not only was she like, what, 1/1000th Native American, but if you actually read the fine print, it could have also been that she was South American too. I mean, it's crazy. She's there, a guest speaker at the Democrat Native American Convention. I want to throw this one up. Let's throw up this image number 5. This woman's name is Donna Hilton. Now, we talked about this on the live stream. Donna Hilton served 27 years in prison. She was convicted of multiple felonies. Let's keep her image up for a little bit. She was convicted of multiple felonies. And ultimately, what she did was her and 3 female accomplices drugged and kidnapped a 62-year-old Long Island real estate broker, Thomas Vigliarolo, at the behest of someone who claimed he owed him money. They kept him prisoner for 15 to 20 days. During that time, they starved him, they burned him, they beat him, they sexually assaulted him, they sodomized him, they raped him, and they tortured him. And then at the end, they killed him. Just to show you how depraved Donna Hilton and her co-conspirators were, when one of them was asked why didn't they feel remorse, they said, well, he was a homo, so it didn't matter. And when they were asked how did they know he was gay, they said that when they sodomized him with a metal rod, his body wiggled, and that told them. This is the depravity that we're talking about. Donna Hilton went to jail for 27 years for her role in that heinous crime. And the DNC gave her a speaking slot last night. This is the stuff you don't see. And Mr. Producer, let's put that image up one more time. Underneath her, the DNC called her a criminal justice reform advocate. This woman was in prison for 27 years for unapologetically kidnapping, torturing, raping, sodomizing, sexually assaulting, and killing a man. And they promoted her as a criminal justice reform advocate. This is what we're dealing with, folks. And anyone watching the live stream last night, there was a rule in our drinking game that if the DNC put a convicted felon on the screen, you had to finish the beer you were drinking. And when she came on the screen, I had to chug my entire beer. I was shocked. I didn't think they would actually do it again. I thought that after being called out, they would keep her off the screen. She appeared a couple days ago. All this media covers that she's actually a felon. She actually was a horrible felon. And they put her on again. Not once, but twice last night. This is what we're dealing with, folks. You go away to jail for participating in the kidnapping, rape, torture, and murder of someone, and you get on stage as a judicial reform advocate. It's really shameful. Does anyone disagree with me? I feel like I'm speaking truth, but the fact that this isn't being covered in the mainstream media, yeah, I know they're biased, but I'm shocked that this isn't a bigger story. Because if Donald Trump had put a terrorist on stage, right, or someone else who had broken the law, you know it would be a nationwide story. You know it would. But for some reason, the Democrats are able to get away with this. Trish just said she hit the share button. Thank you, Trish. Everyone needs to hit the share button. We're talking about stuff that they didn't want you to know about. So we need to hit the share button, please, please, please. Okay, I want to play this clip from Tucker Carlson. Maybe you saw it. If you did, I'm sorry that that we're reiterating this. Tucker went into depth last night actually a couple nights ago, going into what's going on in the DNC in the other hours, the hours that we don't know about. So I wanted to play a brief clip and let you see what we're dealing with in the DNC's morning and afternoon meetings that they didn't show on live television. Let's go ahead and play cut 3.
But there's more, because now it's time for some granular policy discussions, the details of how to run the country. Now, we've showed you in previous nights this week some of the DNC's platform. They want to get rid of a lot of the country's prisons, for example. They'd like to do away with bail for accused criminals. But that's just a start, just a little taste, a little appetizer before the main course. So for more, we're going to go to someone now called Jay Mai. You should know that Jay Mai's preferred pronouns are they, them. According to their biography at Wake Forest University, Jay Mai is, quote, a black Vietnamese transgender, non-binary, gender-transcendent mermaid queen king currently living out their ever-evolving truths in Winston-Salem, end quote. Got it? Okay, now listen to Jay Mai.
Why can't folks imagine a world without the cops? Why can't folks imagine a world without prisons? Why can't people expand their imaginations to include community care, to include an abolitionist future? And I'm talking about like for real abolition, not just watered down DNC version of abolition. We're talking about abolishing the police. We're talking about abolishing ICE. We're talking about abolishing prisons.
Yeah, we're talking about abolishing the police, abolishing ICE, abolishing all prisons. We're imagining a world like that. We're bringing it to you. You're starting to get some sense why they're not putting this stuff on TV. Democrats and their faithful lackeys, the media, have been telling you for weeks that none of this is real. You're imagining it. Democrats don't really want to take the cops away and leave you defenseless. Yes, they are voting to take billions from police departments across the country. But that's not really defunding. It's redistributing. Not a big deal. Calm down. But now, Jay Mai shows up and lets an entire animal shelter of cats out of the DNC's bag and lets you know that, yes, all your fears are true. We're doing exactly what you think we're doing. The gender-transcendent mermaid queen kings are here, and it's a whole new deal now. Get psyched.
The gender-transcendent mermaid queen kings. Oh, I wanted to play that. We had more, but I wanted to cut it down. I don't want to get accused of violating Fox News' copyright. I loved how Tucker just broke that down, because he's absolutely right. Now, I want to make sure everyone understands what that clip just said. So that is a DNC caucus meeting. So in order to be invited to those, you have to be a delegate. So when you go and vote, it's the same with the RNC. When you go and vote in your primaries, you're not actually electing the president. You're not actually electing Trump, voting for Trump. You're voting for the delegates who will go to the convention and vote for him. Right? Every candidate puts forward their list of delegates. So when you cast your ballot for that candidate, you're voting for those delegates. So that sounds like she was a Bernie Sanders delegate. That doesn't sound like she got approved by the Biden campaign. But she got there. She got to the DNC. She has a vote, not only in creating the DNC platform, but deciding who would be the actual names on the ticket. Now, obviously, Biden won without her vote either way. But she's in that meeting. She's in that meeting. And I love what Tucker said, was letting a whole animal shelter's worth of cats out of the bag. Because the DNC has been saying, oh, no, we don't want to defund the police. We just want to move the money around a little bit. And here we are at the DNC's caucus policy-making platform meeting. That's what they're doing. They're setting the platform. This gender-fluid mermaid queen king says, oh, no, actually, yeah, we are talking about defunding the police. We're abolishing the police. We're talking about abolishing all immigration enforcement. We're talking about abolishing prisons. And notice what she also said. She also said, we're not talking about watered down DNC version of abolition. We're talking about real abolition. So she's admitting that the DNC talking points that, oh, we're moderate, we're not that radical. Here in their own conference, their caucus meetings, they have a delegate accusing them of putting forward a watered-down version of the message. That's why they will not let you see what's going on during the day. That's why they only put on the slickly produced nighttime meetings, nighttime videos. Right? And we saw it. We saw it there. It was shameful. Last night they had a kid on suffering from a stutter. And listen, what that kid did was brave. Anyone who's ever had a speech impediment or a stutter, seeing him go on video, not on stage, on video, and read a speech, you feel for him, because obviously it's hard. He's made huge strides. I think that was the kid who was on it either in 2012 or 2008, because they also did that with another kid, another kid who stuttered. What he did was tremendously brave. It really was. But they were using him. They were absolutely using him. If he doesn't realize it, his parents must have realized it. They were absolutely using him. And that just shows you how far the Democrats are willing to go. Let's talk about the other people they were willing to use. They had a family of illegal aliens. Okay, I don't want to get fact-checked. They had a mother who was in the country illegally. They had a daughter who was in the country illegally. And they had another daughter who was born here and therefore had birthright citizenship because she was an anchor baby and she was an American citizen. So she was the anchor baby protecting them. The mother, in 1996 or 1998, one of those 2 years, was caught illegally crossing the border. And she was apprehended during the Clinton administration, apprehended and forced to sign a document saying that if she was ever caught again, she would be deported immediately. She has no right to return. I think it was if you come back within 5 years, you're going to face serious, serious penalties. She signed, said, I promise, as you're deporting me now, I will not come back for 5 years. If I do, I lose all right to ever come back to the United States. If they deport her, she waits 5 years, she could technically apply to come here legally. So they deport her. Almost immediately, she crosses the border again, but this time she doesn't get caught. Years and years go by. What happens? She has a kid, an American, so she's allowed to stay. That one of her kids qualified for DACA. The kid who qualified for DACA had spina bifida, and the Democrats were claiming, "Oh, well, how could you turn her away? She's doing what any parent would do. She brought her child with spina bifida to the United States," and I can feel for that emotionally as a parent. Yes, if my son was sick, I would absolutely move heaven and earth. I would move mountains to get him better. And I think any parent would. But that doesn't nullify immigration law. What we were told from the DNC is that if you enter the country illegally, if you step one pinky toe on U.S. soil, Americans should pay for your medical bills. Think about how radical of a proposal that really is. If you put a pinky toe on U.S. soil, you get free medical care. You're telling the entire world, if you are sick and you make it to the United States, you get free medical care. We will see if they get elected and they're able to put this into action, we will see a surge at the border, the likes of which we have never seen. We've never seen. I mean, how can a republic operate if we're offering to give free medical care to everyone on earth? That's what they're talking about. And it's not a lie. During the debates, they all raised their hand. Who wants to give taxpayer-funded medical care to illegal aliens? Everyone raised their hand. Kamala went even further. She said, well, how could you deny them medical care? Would you deny them fire department help? Would you deny them police help if someone was robbing them? I mean, that's how twisted these people are. That's what we're talking about. Any illegal alien should get free medical care. Yeah, Jackie, I agree. It's disgusting. Paul, you're right. They are a disgrace. It's unbelievable. But that's what they're talking about in there. And they're not fact-checked because, oh, they're tugging at your heartstrings. They're pulling at your heartstrings. Oh, look, it's an illegal alien DACA recipient who has spina bifida. Feel sorry for her without explaining the ramifications of what they're talking about. Because they're not just saying help this one person. They're saying if anyone gets in the country illegally, you have to pay for all their health care. They had another woman whose father died in Arizona. Her father was a Trump supporter. One night this spring, he decided that he was going to go out and sing karaoke during the COVID-19 outbreak. Apparently, he caught COVID-19. They haven't traced it back to karaoke, but it's reasonable to believe because with karaoke, when you're singing, you're expelling a lot of droplets. He passed away. the Democrats had her on the screen speaking, and she literally, I'm not saying literally like the figurative sense, she literally blamed Donald Trump for her father's death. She said, Donald Trump killed my father. It was my father's trust in Donald Trump that killed him. That is how low they are willing to stoop. They will do whatever it takes. They literally blamed Trump for killing a man. And all these lies about the post office. Let's talk about that. What is happening with the post office? The post office is doing two things right now. They are condensing their mail carriers' routes, and they are removing public mailboxes that are not used or seldom used, because it doesn't make sense to force mail carriers to stop at a mailbox that is always empty. Doesn't make sense. Barack Obama, during his 8 years, removed somewhere between 12 or 14,000 public mailboxes in this country. There was never a peep. There was never an accusation he was trying to impact the election. Donald Trump removes a few hundred public mailboxes and says, oh, he's trying to sabotage vote by mail. What? There have been times where I've had to mail something, and I go somewhere I think there's a public mailbox, and it's not there anymore. And I say, that's interesting. Okay, I'm going to go somewhere else that I know there's a mailbox. And then you go there, and then you put your letter in there. I mean, they're actually trying to tell you, they want you to believe that Donald Trump is removing a fraction of the public mailboxes. Not all of them. He's just removing some to condense the mail routes. They're actually saying that people are going to go with their mail-in ballots. They're going to go to put it in, and the mailbox is not going to be there, and apparently they're going to give up. And that's going to be suppressing the vote. They're not going to try the second place. They're not going to try the third place. I mean, let me know. Have you all experienced this? I sure have. Going somewhere where you think there's a mailbox and it isn't there anymore. I've experienced that tons of times. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. So please let me know in the comment section. Is this something you've experienced too? Because if it's just me, I'm going to feel like I'm in an out-of-body experience. But that's what they're blaming for. What's the other thing that Donald Trump's done? He has taken out unused or underused letter sorting machines. Not package sorting machines, letter sorting machines. He's taken out a few hundred. There were 500, I think it was 502. I don't have the number in front of me. I'm just kind of going on a rant here. The number was 502, I believe, that were slated to be decommissioned because they weren't being used. The Postal Service has said that they are getting less flat envelopes and more packages. So the envelopes, the letter, the postcard sorting machines are not useful anymore. They don't need as many. They're not used as much. So they have been decommissioning and taking out these letter sorters, flat envelopes, like not packages, flat envelopes, taking them out and replacing them with equipment or space to store or process packages. What did the Democrats say? The Democrats accused Trump of sabotaging senior citizens' prescription medication deliveries. Every single prescription bottle I've ever seen is cylindrical, and it is three-dimensional. You can't put that in a flat envelope. There is no physical way a letter sorting machine can impact the delivery of a package. If anything, it would actually make the package get there faster. That's the whole point that they're saying. It's taking up space. We need space to be able to process the packages, so we're removing the letter sorters. Democrats are pissed because they were planning on pushing through nationwide cheat by mail, mail-in voting, a bill that we've covered on the podcast in the HEROES Act that would require that all 50 states mail out a mail-in ballot to every single registered voter, every registered voter in America, even if they're dead, even if they're imprisoned, even if they've moved away, even if they're otherwise ineligible, they get a ballot. And the Democrats are pissed because they were counting on those unused and largely mothballed letter sorting machines being there to be able to process the tens of millions of votes that they expected to be coming in. That's why they're pissed. These things aren't being used, but in their own little hypothetical, they wanted them here. Yeah, Mike, we're going to talk about that too. They're also saying that the letter sorters are sabotaging Social Security benefit checks. We covered this on the show. I think it's 99.4%, more than 99. Let's be safe for the fact checkers. More than 99% of all Social Security benefits are direct deposit. So when you hear a Democrat saying that it is blocking millions of seniors from getting their Social Security checks, it's a lie. every single Social Security benefit has to be deposited electronically, unless you apply for an exception. And in doing so, you acknowledge that the Postal Service is unreliable, that the Postal Service is slow, and that you are not able to do it electronically. So you have to actually apply for an exception to make it happen. So everyone that isn't getting their benefits checks, I'm sad if it's delayed a couple days, but it's not Trump's doing. They all chose to use snail mail. Don't complain that it's snail mail when you've chosen to do it by snail mail. But that's the lie that the Democrats are telling. They're claiming that. There was another one. I love this one. It was from Maxine Waters. She said that Trump is sabotaging senior citizens getting their groceries. Has anyone ever ordered groceries through the U.S. Postal Service? Is that even possible? Will they even... I've heard of people like shipping fruit or gift bags or things like that, but never groceries. Never like, oh, we need some milk, we need some eggs. I mean, the only groceries, we said this on the show the other day, the only groceries you could put in a flat envelope would be a thin slice of prosciutto or maybe some bacon, right? Thin slices of meats, maybe individual pieces of lettuce. That's the only thing that could possibly be impacted by the removal of letter sorting machines, flat envelope sorting machines. But they don't care. They lie anyway. They need this to go through because if they don't stop that, they will not have the mail sorting machines necessary for their nationwide mail-in voting takeover, which they want to pass. It's in the HEROES Act. They're demanding it. They're holding up the next round of coronavirus relief because they want that passed. And Trump offered them a skinny bill that gives them some, but not universal. And Pelosi said, no, it would not be strategically a good move. That's what she said, literally today. Pelosi said it would not be strategic to pass a skinny bill because that would let the Republicans off the hook. They want to blame Republicans for withholding the next round of aid, even though it's the Democrats doing it. I got to take a breath. Let me take a breath real quick. I mean, does anyone else just feel like this is just too much to handle? I didn't think we'd get to 1,700 lies. I didn't think it was possible in the 4 nights, but we got there. Yeah, sure, some of them might have been a little bit subjective, but they were well over 1,500, well over 1,600. We weren't playing loose that much. There were a lot of lies. And they pound them, and pound them, and pound them. They lie so much. And part of the reason that we did that fact check was to show how easy it is. How easy it is to just prove it wrong. But the media doesn't do it. Like the other lie that they say, that there's no difference between absentee voting and universal mail-in voting. When Donald Trump says, I don't want mail-in voting, he's talking about universal mail-in voting. Everyone gets a ballot, no matter what. No cleaning the voter rolls. They all get ballots. And as we saw in Nevada, they tried that in the spring, and over 200,000 ballots were undeliverable because the person didn't live at the address that they had on file. The voter rolls are not clean. They are messy, messy, messy. So when Trump says he doesn't want mail-in voting, he's not talking about absentee voting. He's talking about universal mail-in voting. Let me know in the comment section, have you voted absentee? Because I have. I voted absentee in a couple of states. You used to live in Colorado. Colorado has a universal mail-in voting. But when I didn't live in Colorado, I have voted absentee when I was in college. And the way it works is you have to actually go in. You can do it online, but I went in and I asked for a ballot. And I said, I want an absentee ballot. And they said, okay, let me see your ID. They took my ID not because they wanted to check, I guess they check who you are, but they want to check that you live where you say you live. It's important. When you're requesting an absentee ballot, they want to actually make sure you are who you say you are and that you live where you say you live. Because if they send it to the wrong person, that person can vote on your behalf, and then you're not allowed to vote. It's not a victimless crime. It's not just a fraudulent vote. You're disenfranchising the person that's being voted on behalf of. And this isn't a conspiracy theory. Michigan reported that in their primary, 846 dead people voted this spring. 846 in their primary this year. And dead people can't vote. That's other people voting on their behalf. So if they're willing to vote for the dead, so easily proven wrong, does anyone believe they're not doing the same for the living? That they're not finding people and say, oh, I'm going to vote on behalf of this person? I've talked to people who have gone in to vote. And they've been said, hey, well, you actually already voted. Or after the fact, they get accused of voting twice because someone else voted on their behalf. I mean, it's crazy stuff. But this happens. It's not a conspiracy theory. But when they say that Trump, Trump is voting by mail this year. No, Trump is absentee voting. He lives in Florida, but he works in Washington, D.C. So he requested an absentee ballot from Florida. He went out and requested it. He had to go through Florida's process. This is how crazy it is. There are states that require a witness signature on an absentee ballot because it can go anywhere. Once it hits the mail, you don't know who's actually going to open up and sign for it. So they want a witness to say, yes, under penalty of perjury, under threat of prosecution, I testify that the person who is signing this ballot is who they say they are. I've seen it on ballots, on mail-in ballots. It's just you need a witness. Other states have required notaries, where you actually have to go to a notary, you have to show them your ID, they check the ID, they stamp it, and they put it in their little book. Again, to prove that you are who you say you are. Nancy Pelosi's HEROES Act would make that illegal. That is right, the HEROES Act would make it illegal for any state to require a witness or a notary signature in order for an absentee ballot to be turned in. The only reason to do that is if you want people to be filling out fraudulent ballots. Right? I mean, it's safe. That made absentee ballots safe. And they want to ban that. They want to make it illegal for a state to require you to show your ID to prove you are who you say you are and you live where you say you live before getting a mail-in vote. Because they want it to be able to be sent wherever. I mean, this is how crazy we're talking. They literally are writing a new scheme. They're writing a new scheme. Kim Roberts is saying groceries can be sent through USPS. I don't deny that they can. I don't deny that dry ice can be used. I've used the mail to get like boutique items before that need to be shipped with dry ice. I used to live in New Jersey. I love pork roll. Anyone who's been to New Jersey, sometimes you hear it called Taylor ham. It's not. It's pork roll. I don't want to get in a fight with anyone, but it's pork roll. I love pork roll. When I moved out of New Jersey, couldn't get pork roll. I've had people send me pork roll, and they had to put it on dry ice to get it to me, and they used the post office. But that's not groceries. That's not groceries. No one's actually saying, oh, we're out of milk, we're out of eggs, we're out of bread. They're not giving a grocery list and then packing it. And I understand maybe, not even in Alaska would they do that. They usually get that flown in. No, I don't think it's real. I don't think it's real. And then when they say that they need absentee ballots to protect people from COVID, Anthony Fauci, Dr. Anthony Fauci, this might be filed under he's right twice a day, a broken clock is right twice a day. That might be what you file this under. But he said there is no reason people cannot safely vote in person if they wear masks and if they socially distance. Even if you think that's BS, even Fauci says there's no reason that people can't safely vote. And they're still pushing it anyway. But this is what really gets me. This is what really pisses me off. This is what really infuriates me, because I'm a man of logic. I like to think logically. I like to take arguments, I break them down, and I figure out whether they make sense or not. So the reason Democrats say we need mail-in voting is because person-to-person contact is dangerous. They don't want them to be close to people, so they want to be able to fill out their ballots, put them in the mailbox, and be safe. No person-to-person contact. That's their logic. In the damn bill, they include legalized nationwide voter and ballot harvesting. We've talked about this on the show. What does that mean? That means Democrat, and I guess technically Republican, but political operatives. You know, the ones that knock on your door and say, hey, I'm canvassing on behalf of so-and-so candidate. Please vote for him. They hand you campaign literature. Or if you're out of the home and they ring your doorbell when you're gone, they'll leave a little door knocker, right? One of those little placards that hang on your doorknob. Those are canvassers. Ballot harvesters are canvassers who, in addition to recommending that you vote for someone, can actually help you fill out the ballot and then can take possession of the ballot on your behalf and turn it in for you. And there's no limit on how many ballots they turn in. And there's no actual safeguards in place to make sure they're not throwing out ballots if they don't like who you voted for. Or if they see a Trump sign on your front porch and they're a Democrat ballot harvester, there's no safeguards in place to make sure that they actually turn in that ballot. But here's the question I have. Here is the logical question I have. If mail-in voting is necessary to keep people safe, then why the hell would you also be sending people door to door? How does that make sense? Am I off base? I feel like that is a major hole in their logic, that we need mail-in voting to keep people safe, but we're also going to send people into your homes to get the ballots. If you're going to do that, just let them vote in person. I'd be much safer voting in person than having some random stranger show up to my door. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. Does anyone think I'm wrong? I feel like that's a major loophole, a major logical fallacy in their argument. It just doesn't make sense because this isn't about COVID. If it was about COVID, they wouldn't include the ballot harvesting. They wouldn't include the voter harvesting. If they truly wanted to keep people safe, and that was really the reason, they wouldn't include it, because that would be seen as a vector for transmitting the disease. Having someone go door to door, it's insane. It's the opposite of social distancing. It's the opposite of quarantining. All right, what are people saying? Sherry says, you're absolutely right. Thank you. Roddy's saying, I agree with you. Melissa says, yep, they have no logic. They don't use it. I know, but like, this is what really pisses me off. And this is why I want you all to hit the share button. Joe is out again today. I'm all alone, so I'm ranting. And I want you to hit the share button because I feel like I'm the only one saying this. I haven't seen anyone make that connection. So please hit the share button. Please like this video. And please continue commenting. It just doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. They've pushed this conspiracy theory for a whole week. The media took it. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. You see, also, it was pretty funny. Donald Trump, during his briefing, he was asked what he thought about QAnon, which we've talked about QAnon on this program. I don't consider myself a Q supporter. I don't have enough time to go back and read everything. I don't have enough time. I've seen some stuff that makes sense, seen some stuff that doesn't make sense. Whatever. If you want to believe it, that's fine. But I am absolutely an ally in defeating pedophilia and powerful people who are pedophiles. Absolutely. Like, I don't need to go back into a bunch of 4chan posts from years ago to know that there are pedophiles in high positions of power in Hollywood and government, and that they need to be removed from those positions, right? Donald Trump, at his press conference, was asked what he thought about QAnon supporters also supporting him. And I can't believe the way that the reporter posed the question. She said, what do you think about the QAnon, she said conspiracy theory. And Trump says, well, I don't really know. I know that they're supporters of me. I know that they hate what's going on in the country. The reporter then said, well, they believe that there is a secret ring of Satanists. She didn't say pedophiles. She said Satanist cannibals. And they believe that you are saving the world from Satanist pedophile cannibals. Do you agree with that? And Trump starts talking and he says, wait a minute, is that supposed to be a bad thing? I mean, it's spot on. Even if there aren't secret pedophile cannibals, Satanist cannibals, whatever you want to call it, there are pedophiles in high positions of power. Is it supposed to be a bad thing that someone might be pushing back against that? It was a glorious answer. Not only, I mean, he had the plausible deniability to say that I don't know what this is, so they can't pin him on it, because regardless of whether you believe it or not, they're trying to use that as a negative. So he had that plausible deniability, but he also had the zinger of, well, why would that be a bad thing if I'm ridding the world of Satanist cannibals? I mean, it's just so, it doesn't make sense logically. And this is what I really think. I really think that the reason we are seeing so many of these crazy conspiracy theories is they see that their messaging is failing. They see it's failing. The fact that a reporter used a precious question, even if we say that they're BS fake news reporters, it's still a precious opportunity to ask the leader of the free world a question. The fact that she used her one question that day to ask about a secret ring of pedophile Satanist cannibals shows you that they are at the stage where they are throwing all the things at the wall and hoping that something sticks. That's what they've reached. And the DNC, and that was asked before the DNC had even ended. They're at that stage where they're just throwing conspiracy theories, hoping that something sticks. And I feel like no one's calling them out on this. We do. So if this is your first time on the channel, welcome. Please make sure that you like and follow our page. It's very important because we go live every every Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So if this is your first time watching the channel, please, please, please do like and follow our page, because then you'll get updates when we go live again in the future. But we talk about this all the time. And our show is growing. Our show is growing a lot, tremendously. Not just the audio version, but this. And I feel like part of the reason is that what we're talking about is just so plainly obvious. But there are very powerful people who don't want to talk about it. I mean, I live in the San Antonio area, and San Antonio has one of the worst child trafficking ratings in the entire country because we are so close to the border. Child trafficking is a real thing here. Yesterday, during the live stream, I got an Amber Alert for not one but 2 kids who were abducted. This is a real thing. It's a real thing. Whether or not you believe that it's a deep state or if you think that it's just a bunch of evil pedophiles acting individually, it doesn't matter. There are kids being abducted, sold into sex slavery. It is really happening. And I don't want to, again, I'm going to say I'm not a Q supporter, mainly because I don't have time to go and read it all. But on the issue of are there powerful pedophiles and are there people in the media that don't want to talk about it, I absolutely agree with you. But they're posing it to the president like it's a bad thing if he's actually fighting against it. That's how crazy this has become. Sir, what do you say to the conspiracy theorists that say there are pedophiles and that you're fighting them? That's the crazy world we've reached. Where they are, whether they like it or not, by calling it a conspiracy theory, they're defending it. And whether or not you believe it or not, fine. That's not the issue. The issue is that there are powerful people that don't even want the argument to be heard. You don't see Facebook taking pages offline because they're talking about Bigfoot. You don't see pages getting taken offline because they're talking about the Loch Ness Monster. Any other number of conspiracy theories. Like the Pentagon has literally said that there are UFOs, that we have come into contact with UFOs. And they have a whole committee set up to figure out what the hell is going on. And they've released the images and the videos publicly. A year ago, you talk about UFOs, you'd be branded conspiracy theorist. But now there's Pentagon videos out there. You don't see Facebook going after any other conspiracy theory, except for the notion that there are powerful pedophiles pulling the strings in our society. Why? Why is that? Does that make any sense? Like, I want nothing more than for that conspiracy theory to be wrong. Not because I think it's wrong, but I think we would all love to live in a world where children are not sold into sex slavery, right? Where they're not abducted, where they're not powerful pedophiles pulling the levers in our society. I want that to be a false conspiracy theory. I do. Because that would mean that this isn't happening. But that doesn't mean that you shut down their pages. And I mean, we have a lot of people on our forums now because they have nowhere else to go. And I'll say it again, we are not a Q page. We're not. But on that issue, I am absolutely an ally in rooting out powerful pedophiles. We know they exist. We know that Epstein had an island. Right? It's not a conspiracy theory anymore. There are court depositions of victims of this scheme pointing the finger and saying Bill Clinton was on the island. It's not a conspiracy theory anymore. And I think that's part of the reason that they're cracking down on this so much, because they're trying to close the barn after all the animals have already run out. They tried so hard to get those court documents suppressed. We had a whole podcast about it where you could, they uploaded them as a Word document with all of the letters basically highlighted in black. So all you had to do is copy the entire text, drag and click, and then paste it into a text editor, and you could see everything in it. Like, the cat is out of the bag. Or as Tucker Carlson said in that clip we played earlier, the entire animal shelter of cats is out of the bag. I mean, it's just, I will say though, it does get exhausting. And I appreciate everyone on the channel right now. Please make sure that you like and follow our page. If you're new to the channel, like and follow our page. We're also on Parler at Conservative Daily. Follow us there. We'll follow you back. I feel like if you speak too much truth, you get taken out. It really is conspiracy theory kind of stuff. And it's not just one page, it's every page. Every single, if you go against the orthodoxy, every single page takes you out like that all together, but it's just a coincidence. They're not working together. I don't get it. I don't get it. Well, I've rambled on. I've kind of, as soon as we start talking about the pedophiles in our society, me and Joe's not here. He's usually on, but he's not here today. As soon as we start talking about this, I start going on tangents. But I think what I'm saying is true. And you can leave a comment in the comment section whether I'm spot on or whether you think I'm off. I want to talk about this because I thought this was hilarious. Last night, obviously, was the 4th night of the DNC. What does that mean? That means that the Democrats are supposed to have a complete monopoly on the actual coverage. But if you went to the Washington Post, let's go ahead and put on image number 1. This is what the Washington Post looked like last night. Donald Trump took over the Washington Post. He had ads everywhere. You couldn't escape it. You couldn't click out of it. These were not organic ads. He bought the ad space directly from the Washington Post. You couldn't say, I don't want to see this ad because the Washington Post was putting it there, not Google or the other ad networks. But it even gets better than that. That's what it looks like if it's the second time you've been to the page. Let's go ahead and put on image number 2. This is what it looked like the first time you went to the Washington Post last night. It played a full-screen Trump ad. It played a full-screen Trump ad. And Democrats were furious. Democrats were so furious. Let's play put on image number 3. Jeff Jarvis, I don't know who he is. Someone can leave a comment if you know who he is. He writes, no, Washington Post, no, no, no. How dare you? Were these pieces of silver worth the price of your soul? They were pissed. They were pissed. Because Trump bought out the entire Washington Post. And again, that's not him serving ads through Google or another ad partner. He gave a check to the Washington Post, and the Washington Post said, thank you for the money. You own our website tonight. That's apparently democracy dies in darkness. Apparently, you can write a big enough check, and that slogan goes away. But it wasn't just the Washington Post. No, 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 no. It was also YouTube. Do I have an image of that? Let's go to image number 4. YouTube. YouTube was also taken over. And I don't think this person is anyone, but I thought this was a really funny comment. This guy, Max, says, what the F? I got this ad for Trump on YouTube, and I am genuinely pooping myself. I can't stop laughing. All across social media last night, Trump took over YouTube. So the entire YouTube homepage was Trump ad. And you couldn't watch anything without getting a Trump ad first. You couldn't turn it off. You couldn't say, I don't want to see this. He bought YouTube, which just goes to show YouTube, there's a price you can pay. There is a monetary price you can pay for these tech companies and these media companies to give conservatives a fair shake. If it wasn't, they would have turned away his check. So the real question is, if Donald Trump and his campaign can give them a check big enough to get them to turn their bias filter, their censorship filters off just for one night, then what do you think they do if they all of a sudden were to lose tax breaks or they were to lose other incentives because they were violating the free speech rights of people? Not saying that the First Amendment actually is governable, is actually enforceable, but if the government were to say any website that uses the public internet and restricts freedom of speech loses X, Y, and Z tax incentives, what do you think they'd do? Because obviously they turned off the censorship filters for one night because Donald Trump wrote them a check. Do you think they'd do the same if they had that money ripped away from them through a tax code change? I think they would. I think they absolutely would. I have a couple of the videos that Trump played last night. I want to play 2 of them because these were the videos that played on YouTube if you were to go there last night. So this one's pretty funny. It's not actually anything about facts. It just makes Joe Biden out to be some horror movie villain. Let's go ahead and play cut 1.
No, you haven't. You're a lying dog-faced phony soldier. My memory is not as good as... Am I doing this again?
Please clarify specifically, have you taken a cognitive test?
No, I haven't taken a test. Why the hell would I take a test? Come on, man. That's like saying you, before you got in this program, you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not. What do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say to President Trump, who brags about his tests and makes your mental state an issue for voters?
The American public judge my physical and mental my physical as well as my mental fitness. Why, you're getting nervous, man.
Someone has an imagination on the Trump campaign. My goodness. I mean, that was creepy. Where Joe Biden comes up and sniffs him. Man, someone has an imagination. I thought that was a very imaginative ad. It doesn't really say a whole lot other than the fact that Joe Biden might be losing his mind or he might be the villain in a horror movie. I thought that was great. I thought it was creative. It was imaginative. They hate it because it actually makes you laugh, right? It actually makes you laugh. You're like, what? Where'd he go? He just disappeared. And now he's behind the interviewer sniffing his hair. I mean, it's funny, but the leftists were freaking out because last night they were getting served those videos on the Washington Post and on YouTube, and they couldn't click away. They couldn't say, I don't want to see this anymore. They just kept serving it to them. To buy out the entire front page of YouTube, the entire Washington Post, that's a huge ad buy. There was another question. There was another video that I want to play. This one is a little bit more traditional, and we're going to reveal the poll results in a second. If you haven't taken the poll yet, do it. Did the DNC help or hurt the Biden-Harris ticket? I'll reveal that in a second. I want to play this last clip. Let's go ahead and play cut 5.
He went, he became president. I didn't go, and I'm still vice president. And in addition to that, we have to make sure that we are in a position that we are. Think about it. Everybody is known from day one how smart, how bright Hillary is. Everybody knows how tough she is. You know, the rapidly rising and with I don't know. So be successful. I sincerely hope some of you become millionaires and billionaires. I mean that. But engage. You know, there's a during World War II, where Roosevelt came up with a thing that was totally different than he called it the.
Oh my goodness.
Commander-in-Chief. It's more than just a
complete
job.
shift.
Since taking office, President Donald Trump has rebuilt our military, repaired a broken VA, and eliminated Soleimani, al-Baghdadi, ISIS, the world's deadliest terrorists brought to justice. Today, America is safer and stronger than ever. Because to President Trump, it's more than just a job. It's a sworn duty to keep America safe.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Wow. I had to crack open a beer just after watching that. That was spot on. I mean, that's the ad that people were being forced to watch last night. They're being forced to watch last night. We also heard about Students for Trump, I think. They had one of those billboard trucks. Usually you see them in Las Vegas advertising call girls. They had one of those electronic billboard trucks that were going up and down the streets in Delaware where they were having their form of the convention. And it was just creepy Joe Biden. And they were just playing creepy video footage of him on loop. I thought that Trump ad was very effective because if you notice when they talked about Joe Biden, it wasn't in full color. It was colored, but it was also a little bit not really gray tones, but almost like sand colored tones. It wasn't full Technicolor, what you call it. And then as soon as it switches to the positive, it's bright colors, it's jets flying across the screen, American flags, happy music. Here's the thing that I am worried about, though. We've been talking about Joe Biden's mental decline. It's obvious. It is obvious. And I think why that is so effective, that first part of that clip, the reason that's so effective is because anyone who has experienced this firsthand, who has had a family member go through dementia or Alzheimer's, or has had a friend go through it, they know that it isn't necessarily a gradual decline. I mean, it is in a lot of ways, but there are times where you wake up and the person that you love is noticeably worse. And you look back on video home movies from just a year or two ago, and they look so much better. It's the old saying that if you put a pot in water and you turn up the heat, you don't realize, frog doesn't realize it's boiling until it's too late, right? That's kind of like what this is, where yes, it's a gradual decline, but eventually you hit a point where when you look back a couple years earlier, you're saying, oh my God, this is night and day difference. This is night and day difference. And what that ad shows is that it's not just saying Joe Biden was with it, was sharp in the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s. That's not what it's saying. That was playing clips from 2015, 2016, 2017 even, of him actually showing that he's sharp as a tack, right? He's able to have a thought, get it out of his head. And then it shows 2020, where he's just a mumbling mess. Not because he has a stutter, but because he doesn't actually know what he's supposed to say. Anytime he's off teleprompter, that's what you get. You get a word salad. You get a mess. And I thought it was really interesting that the DNC last night, all week, they've emphasized Joe Biden's campaign kickoff speech, which was last year. It was in Philadelphia. And you look at last year, Joe Biden, he was with it. He had it together. He was able to talk. Something in the last year, he has declined to the point where this year's Joe Biden is nothing like last year's Joe Biden. And I think the DNC knows that because the DNC wasn't showing too many recent Biden speeches, mainly because he isn't giving them because he's hiding in the basement. They're trying to get you to vote for Joe Biden last year. And that's why they're keeping him off the interview circuit, because they don't want you to see what Joe Biden's like this year. But I think the danger in all this, I think the real danger is that, yes, Joe Biden obviously is in mental decline, but if he has to go up there and read a teleprompter speech, he can do it. The danger is if you set the bar so low, Joe Biden will be able to do what he did last night, lean on a podium and read a speech that someone else wrote for him, and people will say, wow, that was a stunning success. I think Chris Wallace was from Fox was saying, wow, he put the allegations of mental decline to bed. No, he stood on stage and he read a speech that someone else had prepared for him. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills, but that's what we're going through. I wanted to do a couple other things, but I forgot to send them over to my producer. The last thing that I found hilarious, and we have this, let me pull it up on our Conservative Daily page. Actually, Mr. Producer, if you can pull it up on our page, go to our Facebook page, and it's the most recent photos, the two that I posted. Last night and the night before, they had a grid of videos in place. And those grid of videos were supposed to be people who were supporting Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So that was, okay, thank you, Mr. Producer. That was 2 nights ago. That is what they put on the screen immediately after Kamala Harris was done speaking. That is a what? That's a 6x5 grid. So that's 30 videos. They couldn't find 30 unique Harris supporters to put up there. As you can see, they had 3 videos that they had to duplicate to fill all those spots. They couldn't even find 30 unique Harris supporters. They had to duplicate 3 of the videos. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. This is the Democratic National Convention. And they couldn't find 30 people to give them a video, 30 unique people. They had to duplicate 3 of them. let's go ahead and put up the next image. This was last night. So after they got hammered for duplicating, what did they do? They went from a 6x5 grid and they reduced it down to a 4x4 grid. What does that mean? That takes from needing 30 videos to fill the screen down to 16 videos to fill the screen. And they didn't duplicate anything last night. They just left spots blank if they couldn't fill them. So right there, you can see that there are 16, right? 4, 8, 12, 16. Yep, my math is right. There are 16 squares where they need videos of supporters clapping for Joe Biden. And they left 6 of them blank. That is more than 33. That's more than a third of all the spots were blank. So they couldn't fill 30. The next night, they couldn't fill 16. And this is a man who's leading 10 points in the polls? Are you serious? Any man leading that much in the polls, according to the mainstream media polls, should be able to find 16 unique people willing to send a video in of just them clapping, because that wasn't live. That was pre-done. Clapping. You should be able to find 16. You should be able to find 30. Why were there empty blocks? Why were there empty spaces? It doesn't make sense. I mean, but this is the stuff that the DNC should be hammered for. It's just so obvious. But no, it's like, oh, Obama had a stunning speech. Biden had a stunning speech. Oh, I have to block a troll. Where's Angie? I don't know where she is. I'll block her. Oh, I found her. Angie. Oh, yeah, bye-bye, Angie. Sorry, I'm all alone, so I don't have Joe on the stream today, so I'm ranting, and I'm not looking down as much. Angie, you're gone. Bye-bye. This is the stuff that the media should be focusing on, because it's such a train wreck. The man just got done giving his acceptance speech, and there is a screen. It's supposed to have 16 clapping people on it, and they couldn't even fill them all. But you don't see that. You don't see that narrative. They're hiding that from you. Oh, Mr. Producer wants me to let everyone know that Josh, Mr. Producer, is still here too. Well, thanks, Josh. You're not banning trolls. Everyone comment if you think that Josh needs to be working harder. Well, so this has been fun. I today had to kind of be a ranting day because Joe last minute said that he wasn't able to be on, so I had to kind of bring this together. But I think we touched on a lot of points. We touched on how, Amanda says, WTF, Joe, no time off. Yeah, we touched on a lot of things that are very important. The major lies that were told. We showed that video of that poor 7-year-old having his Trump hat taken away, his signs ripped up by rabid Biden supporters. I think that's what we need to do. Tucker Carlson has started doing this. I'm not going to call them rioters. I'm not going to call them criminals. We're just going to call them Biden supporters. That's what we're just going to do. I'm going to take Tucker's lead. We saw that. We went through mail-in voting, how that's a fraud, and how it doesn't make sense to say people need to vote by mail to stay safe, but we're also going to send people to your door, strangers, to collect your ballots. Makes no sense. And then we talked about how Donald Trump, in a truly troll move, bought out all of the ad space on the Washington Post and YouTube and a couple other sites last night. So this has been an interesting live stream. We had a lot of people on. If this is your first time finding our live stream, thank you for joining us. We go live every Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So definitely check us out. Like and follow our page so that you will be able to find us for our next stream. Some people are saying that they're not getting notifications. Facebook plays games, but I think there are ways that you can go into your settings and set up for notifications that you actually want notifications. So definitely do that. Like and follow our page. Also in our description, in our Facebook description and our YouTube description, we have a bunch of links. That's how you can join our community. This is just part of what we do. We also have a community of 400,000 people total, our email list, and we send out call to action email alerts on things going on in Congress that need immediate attention. Like today, we're focusing on vote by mail because Congress is voting tomorrow to bail out the post office and to force Trump to put all of the letter sorters back. Why? Because the Democrats are counting on those letter sorters being there for when they push through national mail-in voting, and they expect the Republicans to cave. But they know they can't get it if the mail sorters aren't there and if the post office doesn't have a huge influx of cash. That's why they're doing it. So we have to push back against it. That's our call to action today. If you want to receive our call to action email alerts, make sure that you sign up for our newsletter in the description. I also mentioned that we're on Parler at Conservative Daily. Find us there, and we'll be happy to follow you back. A couple other ways you can find us. Just go through our whole description, click on the links. Welcome to our stream. I know a lot of people are Facebook refugees after they've taken out a lot of what they call conspiracy theory sites. As I mentioned, we are not a Q website. We're not a Q Facebook page. But when it comes to the issue of resisting powerful people who also are pedophiles, we stand with you. We are an ally in that 100%, because it's not a conspiracy theory. It is true. There are very powerful people who have been abusing children for a long time, and they deserve to pay for that. So, again, we are not a Q site, but I'm glad that people have found us. And if you like the kind of content we put out, definitely make sure, as I said, you like and follow the page. Also, make sure that you like this video. Very important. Like the video. Everyone who watches doesn't always like. It's very easy. Click the like button. It's a thumbs up. It's a smiley face. It's a laughing face. It's a heart. Click that. It helps us reach more people. And if you really think you really like it, please do hit the share button. That is what really gets Facebook to put us into more news feeds. So that's going to be it for this edition of the Conservative Daily Podcast. As I mentioned, go through the whole description, find all the links. You can also find us, if you want to listen to the audio version, on Apple Podcasts, on Google Play Store. We're also on Spotify, on TuneIn, all different places. So check us out there if you want the audio version. If you're listening to this on audio, we played videos, we showed images. If you want to check out the live stream, as I said, we go live on Facebook and YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. So check us out there. So that's going to be it for the stream. Welcome to everyone who is watching for the first time. My name is Max McGuire. Joe Otto is out today, so he's not here. But we always end with this very simple message. The fight to take back our country clearly is not over. But the only way we win is if we all stand and fight together.